I'm gonna give you the couple opening tips in one video. Let's get started. So, beginning of the game, it's very important to first play in the center. Those are the four central squares, and why center is very important. First of all, every single piece is much stronger if it's in the center of the board, because from the center you can play on any side of the board as you wish, and also a piece is controlling much more squares. For example, I'm gonna place the one piece in the center of the board and another piece on the edge of the board, like this, or in the corner. It doesn't matter, both are same. The central piece controls a lot of squares on the opponent's territory, a lot of squares on our territory. They're pretty much important squares, when meanwhile, other knight on the edge of the board are only controlling half of what it can, and plus they're not as important squares, right? It's opponent's territory or our territory. Plus, I can't miraculously move my knight on this side very quickly when my knight can really easily jump and start controlling the king side or queen side. So from the center one, you have a lot of mobility. You can move the pieces on any side of the board you wish, and plus it controls much more important squares. Not just the knight, same applies on any other piece. That's why in the beginning of the game, we start with the central pawn first to control the center, plus by starting with the central pawns, you're opening the path for your bishops, right? It's very important to develop your pieces as soon as possible. Most of the chess players are making the similar mistakes. They just push the pawns, develop some of the pieces, and start attack. But most of the times, that's not enough. Every single piece should be in the game, and when you're starting your attack, it's better if you are well prepared. So that's why starting the central pawns helps you to control the center one, and plus to develop your piece. First, it's recommended to develop the side where you plan to castle. So if you're going for the kingside castle, to develop kingside castle for pieces. If you're developing on the queenside castle, then you're developing your queenside castle pieces, right? Queenside pieces, not queenside castle pieces. You guys understood. So here, that's why makes sense to develop the knight, develop the bishop. One more time, when you're developing, don't just develop your pieces just wherever they go, right? It's very important to find the best squares for the pieces. Opening part is the preparation for the middle game. So it's very important to place your pieces on the best possible squares. So then you can use them in the middle game. Imagine if the chessboard is the battlefield, right? And all of your pieces are your warriors. If you place your warriors on the wrong squares, then you can't really attack opponent properly from those squares, right? Or it's going to be very hard to defend yourself too. So that's why finding the best positions is the key on the chessboard and also on the battlefield. That's why knight goes on f3, ae2, or h3. That's the question, right? This knight, for example, has the 3 squares where it can go. On the edge of the board, it's not really good, right? It's just has no many squares where it can go. On e2, it blocks other pieces. You can develop one piece and block your other pieces, right? But on f3, it's a nice square. It's closer to the center when we already agreed on it that we should mostly develop the pieces closer to the center and not on the edge, because on the edge, most of the pieces are like half strength because the board itself limits the piece movement, right? So that's why it's very logical the knight f3 is the very good move in this position without memorizing the opening moves. Just understand why you're playing them, right? Let's say opponent does the same thing. Pawn is under attack. They develop the knight closer to the center and protect the pawn, right? Same goes for this knight. Of course, knights want to be closer to the center and they also guard the pawn. Now about the bishop, there's a couple of squares where we can go, right? Well, a6 gets captured and plus it's on the edge of the board, so it's better to not go there. But out of those 4 squares, it's pretty obvious that those 2 squares are the best squares. Why? Here, it's on the open diagonal. Sorry, it's on the open diagonal. On this square, bishop is targeting the knight, where the white can put more pressure on the e5 pawn. When meanwhile, on this square, not only bishop is very bad and it's stuck between the pawns, it also blocks another pawn, which makes it very difficult for us to develop our dark square bishop. So this is a very awkward place for the bishop to be on. Another square is e2, which is like, it's okay, but it's passive too. Again, bishop is stacked between the pieces. And if you're asked me, it's definitely not the best position for the bishop, right? So next time when you guys are thinking about that, where to move your pieces and how you develop them, right? Pay attention of that. That's there has to be the best squares. You're trying to develop your pieces on the best square possible. So don't just memorize the moves, memorize the idea. They just go on the good square. Same goes for example, this knight, right? Why is bot is better on the edge of the board or closer to the center? Of course, it's better to go to the closer to the center, right? Like this. Or let's say you castle, let's say, and now it's time to develop the bishop, right? So you can push d3 and followed by one of those squares to again try to develop your bishop on the better squares. Just in the opening, start in the center, don't place your pieces on the edge of the other board, and develop them on the best squares possible so then you can properly use them from those squares, right? Opening part is the developing part, which is preparation for the middle game where the main fight is happening. So good luck to all of you. I will be back with some more tips and see you guys in the next video. Bye!